Hi, ConnleyClan fam. If you have been around a while, you probably know this already, but we are a large family of 16, and today we're going to talk about how in the world we named all of our children. Now, 11 of them are adopted, and some of them did some name changes. One of our adopted children, and only one, kept the same exact name. So Sean and I have 14 kids total. 3 of our kids are older and in their 20s, but I wanted to start there. So our oldest son is 23, and his name is Declan Patrick Conley. We actually talked about this in another video, how Sean came up with that name, and so that's kind of fun. I will link that video in the description if you want to watch that after this one. Our second oldest child is Brianna, and her name is Brianna Michelle. I was actually going to name her Brianna Ryan because my name is Ryan, and I thought it would be so cool to have the middle name Ryan. It would be my first and middle name together. As I got closer to having her, I decided that, I just felt like everybody was going to mistake it for Ryan. And so I ended up deciding to use Michelle as her middle name because that is a family name. And then our third oldest is Lily, and she is 22. And her name is Lily Annabelle. And we have a little funny story that goes along with Lily's name a little bit later. That leads us though to our fourth oldest child, which is Emma. Now, Emma was adopted, and did you change your name?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did.
She did change her name. So let's go back. What was your name before you were adopted?
Okay, it was Andrea Tiffany.
So Andrea Tiffany, and Andrea was spelled like Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we talked about changing names, so Sean and I were actually going to just only change her middle name. And she came to me one day and she said, I want to change my first name instead. I really want to keep my middle name. It's important to me. Why was it important?
It was my birth mom's first name before she was adopted.
Yes, and then they moved her first name to her middle name. So now that after she was adopted, her birth mom's middle name is Tiffany. Mm-hmm. So it meant a lot to her to keep that. And so we were like, of course, yeah, we'll keep that. One thing though, that I feel like you need to make sure you have these discussions, because we felt like we had a lot of talks about changing names, and it was like something we talked about for months. It must have been like 6 months. We thought we had covered everything. We thought we had talked through everything, and it ended up that what?
I didn't want to change anything.
She really didn't want to change her name, although she did not vocalize that. In her mind, she thought because we wanted to change her middle name, if she didn't change her middle name, she had to change something. So that's what she thought. So she came to me and just said, I just want to change my first name. I want to keep my middle name. And so for her sibling group, most of the girls ended in an A. So Andrea ended in an A. And it's funny because when we changed her name, we changed it to Emma, and that also ends in an A. So she came to me and said, I want to change my first name, but I want it to be Spanish. And so we got online and got on like an online name thing.
I couldn't really, when it came to the name Emma, there wasn't really any good Spanish names that I really liked.
Yeah.
Sadly.
I think Emma is, I'd have to go back and look at the origin of it, but I feel like Emma is a little bit Spanish, but not like, you don't normally hear Emma and think of it being Hispanic, but I can see, I kind of can see where it was in the directory, but so she said she wanted a Spanish name. We looked through them, we found the name Emma, we all liked it, and that was one of the things, we all wanted to like the name, and that's hard. You know, when you have a mom and a dad and a child, and you're all trying to come up with something that you like, I feel like that can be tough. And Sean and I, we have very different ideas of names. So I like very unique, and I feel like he likes more traditional. So we came up with Emma. We kept her middle name. So now your name is?
Emma Tiffany Conley.
Emma Tiffany Conley. Okay, so how old are you now?
I am 15, soon to be 16 in less than 2 months.
Yeah, she's almost 16. Ooh. And when you were adopted, let's see, how long ago was it? It's been almost 4 years.
Yeah, because yeah.
So almost 4 years ago. And I know that like hindsight is 2020, right? Like you can go back and now she can say, oh man, I really wish, and things can change. But just really when you're having those talks, make sure that there's a lot of open communication. And I felt like we had that, but we probably should have said, you know, you don't have to change anything, because one of the names that you had said, she wanted to go by Andy. So you wanted to, originally we were talking about calling her Andrea, and then like her nickname would be Andy, because that's what she said she had wanted. And I love that. I love the idea.
I forgot why I said Andy.
I don't know. We set up an email for her with that and like everything, because we thought that that's what we were gonna do. But then she had come and said that about her middle name. So talks are important. Next is John, who we remember things a little differently, but I'm gonna start, okay? And I'm gonna talk about what happened, or how we came to his decision. So his name, what's your name now?
John.
So his name now is Jonathan Paul Conley. And okay, what was your name? What did it used to be?
John.
It used to be John. What was your middle name? Do you remember?
It was Carlos, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, John Carlos. And okay, so we were gonna change his middle name. We wanted his middle name to be the same as Sean's. And there is some confusion sometimes because John and Sean rhyme.
Yep.
And then we gave him the same middle name.
Yeah, you guys all remember you'd scream Dad's name, and I think, oh man, she's mad at me.
Yeah, I'd say, Sean! He'd be like outside, and I'd open the door and say, Sean, or I'd just like yell from upstairs or something. And yeah, John always thought I was calling him.
Yeah.
He'd run downstairs, what do you need? I'm like, no, I was calling Dad. So we have Sean Paul and John Paul now. But his name used to be like just John. It was not Jonathan, it was John. And one day we were on our way home from therapy, and a lot of these conversations happened in therapy, like talking about name changes and why kids would want that, or why they wouldn't, or you know, things that are important about names. And so we're on our way home from therapy, and John is like, I just don't understand. I don't understand how come the girls get nicknames. I want a nickname. How come you can't name me Jonathan and just call me John? And I said, well, sure, we can do that. Like, that's not a big, huge change, right? Like, you'd still be John. Everybody'd still know you as John, but your name would be Jonathan. And so we talked about it. We're like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Okay.
Let me go to my POV.
Yeah, so this is what he thinks.
Basically, I for some reason thought that my mom, aka you, wanted my name to be Jonathan, and I thought, man, I'm gonna cry if it changed to Jonathan, which apparently was my idea in the first place, which I do not remember.
Really?
I remember it was just your idea.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird.
It is. So there was one child that we had that actually cried about a name, and we'll get to them. Actually, it won't be too long, and we'll talk to them. No other child cried, but we actually were not going to change his name, other than we were going to change his middle name. We were going to just leave it the way it was and change the middle and last. And when he said that about nickname, I'm like, oh, sure, well, we can do that. So, okay, again, let's talk about communication. We talked for months about names. And when it comes to John, what I wonder is if maybe he was like thinking through these things. And I think a lot of people do this, not just kids. I feel like a lot of people in general, adults and everyone does this, where you think things in your mind, but you don't necessarily express them out loud. And so part of me wonders if maybe he like thought about it and thought, I don't want to do that, but then he felt like it was too late. And so maybe we should have had like bigger discussions right before we went through our adoption and talked about it, because maybe then more things would have come out.
And then after we changed our names, then because that was during the summer.
Yeah.
It was during the summer that we were adopted.
Yes.
And then the next year we had to go back to school.
So the adoption was actually happened the day school started. And
it was the day school.
Yeah, and the kids had to miss the first day of school.
2 days before school.
I think it was the day school started and they had to miss their first day of school because we had to go to the adoption. But then you guys went to school the next day. I'm pretty sure. It was either that or it started like the day before school started. Or it was the day before school started. But I'm pretty sure it was the day of school. So, but yeah, so they went back.
And people were very confused. At first, like the first couple, like I think about like the first week, or week and 2, people were confused, because they're so used to my name being Andrea.
Yeah. So what did they say to you?
Well, when the teacher called out my name, like my new name, and I stood up and I said, "Hey, that's me." Somebody who I did know stood up and they said, "That's not her name."
She's lying.
She's lying. Her name's Andrea, and I said, "No, it's not my name anymore.
Yeah,
it's Emma. It's Emma Conley."
Yeah. So we actually had 2 kids that happened to. Elena also said that to me, and that was something I had never even thought about. I didn't even like think through they're going to go back to school with a different name and people are going to be confused. Now the teachers knew, obviously. I always would send out an email before school started to the teachers to let them know of anything that was going on, or so I always feel like communication is so important. But it was interesting because I hadn't thought about that. So 2 kids went back to school and their kids that they knew said, "That's not their name, that's not their name." And then they didn't, some of the kids had a hard time understanding, you can't change your name.
A couple of people said you couldn't change your name.
Yes. Or
that it was too expensive to change your name.
Yeah.
So then, because I got mad one day, I just said, "Well, maybe your parents just can't afford it."
Oh my gosh. So having talks with your kids, that might happen to them. They might go back and people might be confused that they have a different name, thinking that's not even possible, because I mean, that doesn't really happen very often where somebody changes their name, especially in the middle of like, whether it's like 6th grade or 4th grade or so that is a good conversation to have too. So with these 2, what I want to say is that I feel like we probably, as we got closer to adoption, we probably should have had more conversations about, and let them know, like, hey, you're not going to hurt my feelings, right? Like, I wasn't going to change your name anyways. So we probably should have done that. But they have their names. I think they're good names. I really like your guys' names.
I don't regret my name. Yeah. I like my name.
Yeah. All right, so the next 2 kids are
Jade and Rosie.
Jade and Rosie. Okay, one thing I forgot to tell you, John, how old are you?
13, 14.
He's 14. So Emma's 15, John is 14. Next is Jade. She's the next oldest. And so we adopted Jade in 2016. So that's been quite a while ago, Jade. What, 8 years ago?
I think so.
Man, that was a long time ago. Actually, it's been a little over 8 years because it was in January. So when we adopted Jade, what was your name before?
Jade Olivia.
Jade Olivia. What's your name now?
Jade Olivia Conley.
Jade Olivia Conley. So the only thing that changed was her last name. And your birth mom decided that she was going to use a little unique spelling for your name. Because normally Jade is spelled J-A-D-E. And how is yours spelled?
J-A-I-D-E.
It has an I in it. Now, I absolutely love unique names and unique spellings. I'm sure that's because my name is very unique.
Yeah.
So we decided, and this was our very first adoption ever, we decided that we were just going to keep her name. We liked it, and we were going to keep it. We did talk about flipping it and calling her Olivia Jade instead, but we decided not to do that. We just decided that we were going to leave it.
Yeah, I said no because I used to hate my middle name.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I don't know why she hated it.
No, you couldn't even say it without her getting mad at you.
You remember? Yeah.
She gets so mad.
I would be like, shut up, Rosie.
Yeah, she would.
Oh my gosh. I wonder why you didn't like it. I really like the name Olivia.
I know.
Do you like it now?
Yeah, it's a very pretty name.
We met someone the other day and her name was Olive. And that's like on my name list for a girl, Olive. Yeah, when we were trying to go through names, before we knew whether Logan was a girl or a boy, Olive was on my list. So, okay, so you're Jade Olivia. You did not change your name other than you did change your last name.
Yeah.
Okay, so how old are you?
13.
Okay, so 13. And what was your name before?
Rosaline Joe.
Rosaline Joe. Did you change your name?
Yes.
She did. What did you change it to?
Rosaline Lauren.
Rosaline Lauren. So when we were talking with Rosie, so her name is Rosaline, but she does go by Rosie. And
Grandma Judy.
Rosa. Yeah, Grandma Judy calls you Rosa. And then actually with her sibling group, that's where the A comes in at. Because I had always wondered, I thought, man, your birth mom was trying to stay with A's, and I thought Rosalina. I thought, I wonder why she didn't do that.
She didn't do that either.
But her name was Rosaline, and then her grandma and your birth mom too a lot of times called you Rosa. But when she came to our house, she went by Rosie. And I did tell her that when she went to kindergarten, I said, if you want like a fresh start or something, you can go by the name Rosa. And so she went to school that day, and then she came back and she said, "Nah, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
I'm going by Rosie."
No, I'm good.
I think you were so used to going by Rosie.
Well, it's hard to go by a completely new name.
Yeah.
When you're used to this other name.
Yes. So.
The tears are already coming.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think the light.
Oh, Rosie is very sensitive and she cries very easy.
No, she doesn't. I do.
Yeah, she does.
I'll even when I'm watching TV and I'm laying down on my pillow, I'll start crying.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I'm not sad at all or anything. I'll just start crying.
The water just starts coming out.
Yeah.
Well, only when I'm on my side.
Maybe it has to do with being 13.
Mom has some emotional teenagers.
I know, we do. So you did change your name. We just changed her middle name. And so basically what we did when we changed the kids' names, well, with Emma, we went through the online name thing. Okay, so I would write down like all the names that I love. I would then go to Sean and I would say, okay, how about this name? How about this name? And he would say yes or no.
Yeah.
And so then I would like cross it off, or I would put like okay by it, or I'd put like a heart, like he loves it too. And then we took those names, and it was very dwindled down at that point. And then
so picky.
we would go to the kids then and say, okay, so which of these names do you like? And so Lauren happens to be a family name.
Yeah.
And so one of her cousins also has that middle name. And so we went, she chose Lauren. So she said, I really like the name Lauren. At the time, she actually had a friend named Lauren.
No, that was after.
Oh, it was after?
Yeah. So like we got adopted the day before school. But before
you became friends with her after?
So like right after.
Oh, I thought that maybe that was one of the reasons why she liked the name. But
no, I hadn't.
So that's funny. So I really like the name Lauren. So you, for a hot second, thought about changing your name.
Yeah.
She did.
I just wanted to do what everybody else did.
A lot of people.
And I'm happy I didn't.
Yeah. And I know one of the things Sean said was, I don't know if I could call her anything else.
Yeah.
And so Rosie just fit her very well. The two next oldest are
Oh, Elena. I don't know we're doing that.
Elena. Okay, I said 2. Okay, the next oldest is Elena. And how old are you? She forgot.
No, because like, do I say 12
I know,
or do I say 11?
Her birthday's in like 8 days.
7 days.
7 days? Okay. So she is currently, how old?
I'm currently 11.
11. So she's going to be turning 12. Oh my gosh. Okay. What was your name? Do you remember what your name was before you were adopted?
Yeah.
What?
Serena Marie.
Serena Marie. Now, she obviously changed her name because what's your name now?
Elena Adeline.
Elena Adeline. She chose to change her name, and I told you that kid that was crying about their name was up soon. That was her.
Lily.
Okay, so let's tell this story because I feel like this is something that people need to understand. We were not going to change Elena's name. I felt like we really weren't going to change very many of the kids' names. We were going to change a lot of middle names, I felt like, just to give them our touch, but we were not going to change the first names. So we wanted to keep it Serena Marie. I think that name is absolutely beautiful, and Sean loved it, and so we were going to keep it. And what happened?
I wanted to change my name.
She came up to me one day in therapy, and we were sitting together in the waiting room while someone else was in talking with the therapist, and she just started bawling. And she said, "Everybody else gets to change their name, why can't I?" And
I don't remember that, Mom.
Really?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, she was little though. You must have been like, I don't even know. Maybe, you must have been like maybe 7 or something, 7 or 8, because that must have been about how old you were right before we adopted you. So she was just like sobbing, and she's like, "Why can't I change my name?" And I'm like, "We love your name. We don't really want to change it." And she's like, everybody else can change theirs. I want to change mine. And so we're like, okay. So we talked to the therapist about it, so I told the therapist how I felt, that we really didn't want to change it, explained what happened, and she said, some kids like have to have a fresh start. They just need a new beginning, and a new name represents that. So we're like, okay, if she needs a fresh start, then we'll absolutely let her have a fresh start. So I gave her my list of names that Sean and I had went through that we both agreed on, and she actually picked her first and middle name out of that list. So both of those were on that list.
So I'm named after 2 movie series. Well, 1 movie, 1 TV show, Age of Adeline.
Yeah, Age of Adeline is actually where we love that movie, and that's where we got the name from, even though it's not spelled the same.
No,
but we both really liked that name so when we heard the movie.
And then Elena of Avalor.
Yes, Elena of Avalor. We do not spell it the same.
It's spelled with an A instead of an E.
Yeah, so Elena is usually spelled with an E. And every time I see it spelled that way, I always think the name is Elena.
Yeah, so do I.
Do you?
E doesn't make sense. It sounds like it's an A.
So it must be Elena.
Yeah.
So we were gonna go with Elena, and there happened to be a girl that she went to daycare with, and Elena was her name, and she spelled it with an A. And so we ended up spelling it that same way. And I think it looks really pretty that way.
Same.
So you...
Very feminine.
Yeah, very feminine. Yes, I agree. And that was one of the things with Brianna's name. We spelled hers like phonetically, and I felt like it looks very feminine because it has an AH in it, and so I think that too about you guys' names.
I actually want to name my daughter Serena Marie.
Do you? Yeah. Now she loves the name.
I love the name. I wish I never changed it. But if I did, it'd be my first name, Serena Marie, and then middle name.
Yeah.
Because I love double first names.
Do you really?
Yeah. They're so, yes.
Yes, a lot of people in Texas do that. Or in the South, I feel like that happens a lot.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
I have a little story about anytime I hear the name Serena.
Yeah.
I always think about when we went back to our birth mom.
Yeah.
And you guys were like traveling in a camper and that stuff. I remember you telling us that Gavin would knock on where our dad was going to the bathroom, would knock on the door and go, and Dad would be like, "Who is it?" And he's like, "It's Serena."
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. So Gavin must have been like, maybe 3 or 4. He must have been 4 at the time. And so he would come up anytime you were in the bathroom, and he would knock on the door, and he would say, we'd go, who is it? And he'd go, it's Serena. And it was so funny. Oh my gosh, because he made this little girl voice. And then, oh my god, I forgot about that actually.
I always think about
that. Oh my gosh.
He still does it now. There's actually a video that Brianna has.
Really?
He does a little bit differently. Now he pretends like a couple of days ago he pretended like he had some Botox, a BBL.
No, yeah, BBL.
Sorry, it's a BBL, and he was like, ooh, look at me.
Gavin's girl name is
Gavarina.
Gavin's girl name is Gavarina.
When he acts like that, that's what we call him.
That's so funny. Sometimes I'll tell you what, in these, when we do these sit down talks, I learn things that I didn't know. Okay, so next up is Lily over here. And, okay, so what was your name before we adopted you?
Lily. Do you want me to tell me their full name?
I want your first and middle.
Lily Ann.
Lily Ann. So, what's your name now?
Lily Ann.
Lily Ann Conley. So we decided not to change Lily's name, and we actually talked about changing it because we already have a Lily.
Wait, what did you guys think of?
We never even got to the point where we came up with names. So we hadn't come up with names. We were just like, should we change it? We already have a Lily, like that might be confusing. And we ended up deciding not to change it. So I told you in the beginning, we have a 22-year-old and she is Lily Annabelle. Now they are spelled differently. We have an L-I-L-Y and an L-I-L-L-I-E. So, but your name is Lily Ann, so they're so close. And then they're both Conleys.
And that's what we call Big Lily, Sissy.
Yes, so we do call Big Lily, we either call her Big Lily or we call her Sissy. So that is sometimes how we tell the difference.
Yes.
What were you gonna say?
Lillie is a less common way to spell.
Oh, to spell it, is it? Oh, that is how it was spelled when she came to us.
Big Lily said at college she got made fun of for being called Big Lily.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So actually, I believe that the foster mom you were placed with before us. So Lily was with a different foster family for the first 3 months of her life. And she got to be in the delivery room with Lily, got to cut Lily's cord, and she helped name Lily. So we ended up just leaving Lily's name Lily Ann, and Ann is my middle name, and Ann is Lily's middle name.
And Annabelle.
And yeah, so Ann and Annabelle. So they're so close. But for Lily's nickname, we like to call her, Sean calls her Lily Lou Who.
I call her Lala.
Yep, the kids call her Lala.
The most common nickname for Lily is Lil.
Lil, yes, I will even call her Lil sometimes.
You will.
And she is Lil. And then I don't know, from the time she was about 2 years old, we started calling her Lily Pop because it kind of sounds like lollipop. So we just have some fun. We love nicknames in this family, I guess, guys. We love nicknames. Okay, are we ready for our next two?
Yep.
So next up is
Izzy.
Isabella. And did you change your name?
Yes.
You did.
I changed my name.
Yes. Okay, so what was your name before, do you remember?
Denisa.
Yes, it was Denisa Ann. Denisa Ann.
Yeah.
And what's your name now?
Isabella Sophia.
Isabella Sophia Conley. So, okay, so with Isabella, she was maybe about 4. She must have been 4 or 5. You were in preschool still, so it was right before you started kindergarten. And so Sean and I knew that we kind of really wanted to change her name. And again, yours ends in an A.
Yeah.
So instead of being Denise, it was Denisa because it had to end in an A. And so we decided that we wanted to change it, but we wanted to ask and make sure that was something she was okay with. So we asked her, and she said Yes, I do want to change my name. And what did you say you wanted your name to be? Do you remember?
Bella.
She said she wanted it to be Bella. Now I kind of wondered if she went to preschool with a Bella and if maybe that's where she came up with the name, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, I know.
Sophie at the
She
first.
just loved that was one of her favorite dog names.
Bella was?
Yeah.
Or it is now?
No, it used to be.
That's what she got her
It did?
Yeah.
You're kidding, I didn't know that.
It used to be my favorite dog.
And it's now
Oh my gosh,
favorite.
that's Charlie's favorite dog name?
Yep,
Oh,
and
that's
cat
funny.
name.
Oh, that's funny. Is it Charlie? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's Isabella's middle name. She loved the TV show Sophia the First.
She did love Sophia the First.
Yeah.
That is not where I got it from.
But that's not where you got it from, but that's what she was thinking.
Yeah, it probably was what she was thinking. So, so she said to me, I really want my name to be Bella. And I said, ooh, I love the name Isabella. What about Isabella? And she said, yeah, I like that. And I said, we can call you Bella because that could be a good nickname for Isabella. And she said, yeah. And so it's funny because what's your nickname now?
Izzy.
She didn't even go by that. So when Brianna was little, she had a friend, not little, she was like a teenager, I guess. She had a friend named Izzy. And I was like, I love the name Izzy, but I had never said anything. And we were just gonna call her Bella because that's what she had said. But it ended up that she started going by Izzy probably maybe a year after you changed your name. It was not right away.
Yeah.
No, so we usually just called her Isabella. She didn't really even have a nickname. But I do think that the name Ella is so pretty, and that could be a nickname for you too.
Yeah.
Isabella has so many nicknames built into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her name is now Isabella Sophia. We call her Izzy, and your old name was Denisa Ann.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now next is a fun story because it is Gavin. And Gavin was the only child that didn't change any part of his name after he was adopted. So,
Which I'm sad about.
why, you wanted to change your name? I love your name. So we found out about a month before Gavin was born. We had Jade and Lily already, and his birth mom had called and asked if we would keep him with his sisters. So we said yes, and we started deciding what kind of names we would want. And Sean and I both came up with the name Gavin, and both really liked it. So we came up with Gavin Michael, and Michael is also a family name. And so then when we got to the hospital, in this case, I got to be in the hospital room and I got to cut the cord. But we thought that she would put her last name on the birth certificate. I got a phone call one day asking me how to spell our last name, and I said, oh, well, how come you want to know? This was the caseworker who called me. And she said, because she's putting that on the birth certificate. And I said, she's not going to put her last name? And she said, nope, she's going to put your last name. And so
making it extra easy.
Yeah, making sure, I think ensuring that we took him and kept him. I think she just wanted to ensure that he got to stay with his sisters. And so he has always been Gavin Michael Conley from the day he was born, which is, I think, such a cool story.
Yeah, and Mom got a kind of deep out.
Yeah, I did. It was so nice to be able to be in there and watch him be born, and he was so tiny.
Yeah,
I was like almost as the size of a ruler, but smaller.
You were just a little bit bigger than a ruler, but we held a ruler up to you. You looked close.
How big was I?
You were 3 months, but you were still tiny, but not nearly as tiny as Gavin was. So with Gavin, we have a lot of nicknames for Gavin. Like the kids said, they call him Gavarina.
Yeah.
And
As a joke.
I know, as a joke.
Joke, guys.
I got two names for Gavin I've made myself.
Okay.
Which Gavarina was one of them.
Yeah.
We got Gavarina. We got Uncle Crunkle when he becomes an uncle.
Uncle Crunkle.
Then we got the butt tickling bandit.
Oh my gosh, you guys. This is horrible. I call him Gavman because that's his superhero name.
Or
right, Gavin? Yeah, or G-Man. I hear Isachelli all the time.
And I got two nicknames I got a nickname for Lily and Rosie. For Lily, I like to call her Lily Chan sometimes. For Rosie, I call her Nosy Rosie eating the toast.
Nosy Rose. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go on to Charlie. So, Charlie, do you remember what your name was? So we did change Charlie's name. Her name originally was Donna Leanne. So, Dawn was a part of her birth mom's name. I think it was her original middle name. So she used Dawn and then added an A. So she was Donna Leanne. And we changed her name. And what's your name now?
Charlie.
Charlie, but that's your nickname.
Scarlet.
Scarlet. So her name is Scarlet. Do you remember your middle name? Scarlet Ava. So Scarlet Ava is her name, and we call her Charlie because Sean had said, man, I really think it's cool like when little girls have names like Charlie or Frankie and so I said, okay, I know this kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but this was my thinking. I'm like, Charlotte, and then you have Charlie. And Scarlet is so close to Charlotte. I'm like, why don't we just name her Scarlet and we'll just call her Charlie? Like, that could just be her nickname.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. So she goes by Charlie, right?
Mm-hmm. But she's a Scarlet.
But she's really Scarlet. We have two more kids. They are not here, but we're going to talk about their names anyways. So with Christian, his mom actually did not name him. Now,
I say his name.
Originally, his name was
Baby Boy.
Oh, Baby, yeah.
Yeah, Baby Boy.
So his first name was Baby, his middle name was Boy, and then he had his birth mom's last name. I did not know that this was even a thing. I didn't realize this could actually happen. I had heard about it. I thought it was just a story. But apparently it actually does happen. So because his birth mom left the hospital immediately after giving birth, he was not able to be named, and so he was just given the name Baby Boy. So he was Baby Boy for the first year, a little bit more than a year of his life. We had already knew that we were going to name him Christian, and so we just called him Christian in our family. But when I went to the doctors, I had to give his legal name. And they looked at me like I was absolutely insane. They're like, okay, what's your child's name? And I'd be like, Baby Boy. And they're like, what? And I'd be like, I'd have to explain it. Like every time I went to a doctor, I'd have to explain. His mom didn't name him. That's his legal name right now. And that's what was on his insurance card. That is what we had to put him under at all doctor's appointments. And
they thought mom was a crackhead.
They probably thought I was crazy. So they, at adoption, obviously, then we could change it. We changed it to Christian David. David is also a family name. So he is Christian David Conley. Now, a fun story I feel like with some of our names is their initials. So Brianna is Brianna Michelle, and her last name is Wilkinson. So she is a BMW. Gavin is Gavin Michael Conley, so he is a GMC. So we have two cars in our family. And with Christian, and this is, I feel like, really crazy, but he was born during the pandemic, and his initials happened to be CDC, which I thought was so weird. That obviously we weren't thinking that.
What's CDC?
It is part of the health organization.
Well, my thing I'm pretty sure is extra. Like no, it's E. It's E.
ETC, like it.
Oh, etc. ETC.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. So I think it's funny because we have some fun initials going on. The last child that we have been able to name is Loki. So Logan. When we were coming up with names, we originally came up with the name, what? Do you guys remember?
Gabriel Logan.
That was
thinking that he was going to be a little bit darker.
We thought that he was going to be dark complected. Now, I had somebody make a comment one time about that, like, oh, you name your kids based off of their color. No, I based my kids' name off of how I feel they look. And I think people do that. They're like, I have this name picked out. They're born and they're like, they don't look like a Rebecca, right? They don't look like an Amy. And they come up with a new name. That happens all the time. So we got Logan into our home.
He was a little white bread.
And he was not what we thought. And we're like, man, he really looks more like a Logan.
Yeah, he does.
And so we decided that we were gonna flip his name around. Now, when he was born, we were told that because his birth mom did not name him at the hospital, that he was also baby boy. Come to find out, and the caseworker didn't even know this until she ordered the birth certificate, but when mom left, his birth grandma stepped in and they kind of knew that she was going to need an advocate, like somebody to intervene on her behalf. And so her mom did that. And so they gave the hospital the name that we wanted to name him, which was Gabriel Logan. So we originally thought he was going to be a baby boy too. We found out that he was actually Gabriel Logan Conley. And when we adopted him, we decided we were going to flip it, and he is now Logan Gabriel Conley. Oh, so many changes. But two other fun things with our names that I feel like. One of them is all of our adopted boys have biblical middle names. So Sean's middle name is Paul, John's middle name is Paul, Gavin's middle name is Michael, Christian's middle name is David, and Logan's middle name is Gabriel. So they all come from the Bible. And then one thing that I had no idea, like I didn't even know this. I had a viewer actually mention this in our comments, that all of our boys' names end in N. So we have Sean, Declan, John, Gavin, Christian, and Logan. And I read that and I'm like, I had to like literally go through the names and I'm like, yeah, they're right. They do all end in an N. And I didn't even have any idea. So we did not purposely do that, but that is just how it worked out.
And I remembered while you were talking, earlier we talked about how our mom liked to put A's in our last name. No, it's not at the end of the last name. She liked putting A's in our names. So
it was the last letter of the first name. So it was Andrea, and then it was Rosaline, but she called her Rosa.
Yeah, I was only one.
Serena. So it was Serena, and then it was Denisa, and then Donna. So they all ended in an A. So we have, though, when we renamed you ended in A still, so Emma. And then we just kept Rosie. And then Elena ends in an A. So she still ends in an A. Isabella ends in an A. The only one that doesn't is Scarlett, which is Charlie's first name. So we kept with that trend too. And again, that wasn't on purpose. It just happened that way. So everybody has an A except for Charlie. Well, and Rosie, but we didn't change hers. We left it. So it was already that way, and so we just left it. Although we could have just called you Rosalina.
Yeah, but
if you wanted to go with that. Okay, guys, so that is it. That is how we named all of our 14 children, which is a lot of children to name. I don't know if I have any names left. No, I do. Just in case there's more, I have more names. Although I don't know if Sean and I will be able to agree on any more, but that list is getting really small. Anyways, okay, we will see you guys next time. Bye.